Go ahead, Judy.
Okay. Um, I hope that when you encounter any of these committee members, you express your appreciation to each of them for their hard work and dedication to PFHA. They are volunteers. I was very pleased when Robin graciously accepted my request to be the moderator for our first town hall meeting. Robin has been a member of PFHA since its inception over 50 years ago. She's been an active member, serving on the executive committee as president, vice president, and treasurer.
I'm on mute.
She has also served on the board of directors for numerous years. Her experience with Pasafinos include training.
Looking for.
Please put yourself on mute. Includes training, exhibitor, judge, clinician, and she has hosted
I was
numerous
contacted
clinics.
by Blackfin. They build boat parts in Williston. Because
you
back in Maine, I
put
did work
yourself
at
on mute? Thank you. It is with great pride I introduce to you my dear friend and mentor, Robin Ratliff.
Thank you, Judy. And thank you everyone for being on the call. Right now, it looks like we have 28 people so far who have joined the call. As Judy said, if you wouldn't mind, please stay muted so there's not any over talking. My history in Pasofino started in the late 60s with my family in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We had a ranch there and we were breeding quarter horses. My parents weren't really horse people. They got a pony for us when we were 3, and then then it was all over by then. We saw Pasofino for the first time. Anhil and Carmen Usategui came into the ranch to board a mare with us, a Pasofino mare. We didn't know what a Pasofino was. And so the horse came in and they were riding it and they were going out in front of the ranch on our berm road. And it looked literally like they were going 100 miles an hour and the rider wasn't moving. And my parents said, well, we're going to get one of those. And so my mom flew to Puerto Rico with Anhil Usategui. This was, like I said, 1967. Picked out a Puerto Rican mare named the Tanis that was super well gated. I mean, smooth, super well gated, very Puerto Rican-like in her movements, low to the ground, but just so well gated, she never fell out of gait. A year later, we got another mare that had been imported from Colombia, from Miami. Her name was Jacquelinda. And then we went to the Friday night auction that we always went to in Miami. And my parents bought El Pastor, who is now a foundation sire, Hall of Fame sire, and top 10 sire for 20 times, 8 times sire of the year and 20 times top 10 sire. So when Judy introduced me and she talks about me being on the board and president and the officer positions I've held, our commitment is to the breed. We have been breeders for over 40 years and bred a number of horses for all parts, every discipline. And I've been a trainer since I was 16, a professional trainer since I was 16. I had great help back then, Cece Figueroa, people like Alvaro that helped me learn gait, taught me what the finer parts of training Pasofinos, because I was a good rider, but I didn't know the gait at all. And Cece was instrumental for my career in the beginning, and I can never thank him enough. And I don't know if he's on the call, but if he isn't, that he deserves a lot of credit. So that said, I've served in leadership roles because it's your obligation and it's your commitment to serve if you care about something. And that's what I was taught. My mom, thankfully, she's 95 years old. She's still alive. She's in the Hall of Fame. She was one of the founding members of this organization. That was the most tenacious group of people you would ever run into, because they were taking Pasofinos. It was the Latins and the Americans taking Pasofinos to these open shows. They didn't know what they were. They didn't want to let us have a class. They made fun of us, and they forged on. And all of us on this call tonight have a lot, so many of them to thank for sticking it out, because they could have just, you know, walked away, and they did not. So I really want to mention that to everyone. This is a town hall though, and I want to open it up by saying thank you to Judy for chairing the membership and regional liaison committee. She is as dedicated a person to this breed that we have. She lives out west, so she is in some ways the poster child for our Pasofino members, that has good horses, shows a little bit, trail rides a lot, gives clinics, has represented her region for a number of years, and has been also dedicated to our breed. So thank you, Judy. Thank you for everything you do. The other committee chairs, I'd like the board, the people on the call to be aware of. For PFH, our structure runs through our committees. The committees do the legwork, the committees do the hard work, and then they bring their ideas and their proposals and their policies to the board of directors for them to talk about, decide on, and then usually pass. If not, then the committee can go back and refine. Judy did this the last time with her and her committee over the map for regions. But we are driven by the committees. They do the legwork. They're the ones that are going to put together something for us, for the membership. And we have committees that are in our constitution, and then we have two committees that have been established by our board of directors. Peggy Tanner is chair of the computer committee. Rick Meyer is chair of the education and clinic. Hehe Lozada is chair of the events committee. BJ Schuler, as our treasurer, is chair of the finance committee. Judges and stewards chairs are Andy Lord and Alex Zapata. Grand National Show, Janice Meyer, who probably is going to kill me very soon. Personnel, Jackie Holland. Planning is set up in the Constitution as the president and the past president and other members, and we will delve into that probably in the next month. Registration Advisory is our registrar, Marge Wilholt. Rules Clarification, Andy Lord, and the Rules Chair is Andy Lord, and that is a committee that is elected by the board of directors. Our hearing committee is chaired by Katie Martin Liberator. Youth is Anna Iriarte. Amateur, Megan Winlack. Ethics, Keith Dane. Rec Riders, Lindsay Campbell. And the two board established committees, Diagonal, Melissa Maltese. International, Vladimir Virkik. And also I want to recognize tonight our staff, Amy Collingsworth, our executive director, Marge, who I mentioned, Nikki, who's there, and John, who has just started with us working in the show department. They do a great job for us, and I'm very appreciative that we have an executive director like Amy Collingsworth. She couldn't be on the call tonight, but I wanted to recognize her. That said, unless you have any questions about me or more you want to know about our history and all that, I'm happy to open this up and make it a real town hall. And now we've got 31 people on here, so jump in with a question. I do have a statement about the software, so if we have a question about that, I can read that as well. So someone ask a question. Anyone? Think of something.
Robin, this is Lindsay.
Hi, Lindsay. Hi.
How you doing?
Good.
I will bite. Let's talk about the computer and when we're going to get our fabulous database back.
Well, the new software the association is using is Equine Tracker. The office is diligently working on the features of the software while juggling their normal duties. We have made great strides in a short period of time. The members portal version of Equine Tracker is scheduled to be released on Wednesday, May 28th. We will announce it on an e-blast and social media, giving you the new website link. You will need to be an active member of PFHA
38? God damn it.
with a working email address in order to access this website. Due to the nature of technology these days, there is a two-factor verification step in order to log in. When you register on the site or each time you log into the site, the website will email you a verification code you will need to put in. In the Equine Tracker members portal, you will be able to see your membership details, your horses, your current work orders, and families will be able to see all of their family information and family horses too. You will be able to look up a horse and see its pedigree, ownership history, and descendants. We are working on being able to look at show history, and we will announce when that feature will be available. My best guess, 6 months' time. With folks working to qualify for GNS, we are working on a new software feature that will be on our main website, pfha.org, for you to view and search the 2025 show year results. This will make it easier for everyone to calculate their points to see if they qualify for their division for GNS. You will be able to calculate it by horse, by rider, or just look at points per show. We hope to launch this new feature the second week in June. We will announce it on social media and eBlast as soon as it is ready. Right now, we have that large PDF file with the show points that may be hard to read, so this new feature will make calculating your points a lot quicker and easier. That came from Amy. I do want to acknowledge Peggy Tanner. She has been chair of the computer committee for the last 3 years and has done heroic work on that committee. And besides our new software developer and our office, Peggy, we owe you a great debt of gratitude for getting this going. Thank you. So any questions? Is that
Robin,
good? Yes,
this is-
ma'am. Yes.
This is Denise. A question on the bloodlines. A lot of people, I guess in Ocala, what I keep hearing is when are they going to have access through our computer system to the bloodlines? Not just show points, but they see a horse they like, they want to look at the bloodlines on that particular horse.
Well, in the Equine Tracker portal, you will be able to see your membership details, your horses, your current, you will be able to look up a horse and see its pedigree, ownership history, and descendants. So I'm assuming those are the other horses.
That's it. Yes. And when do we expect that to be online?
Show history and asset feature.
Didn't you say May 28th?
That is the membership portal. So yes, I would assume that Denise is coming with that membership portal part of it.
Wow, that's amazing if it's that soon. But yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and they have been sending out, Amy and Peggy have been sending out testing for the membership portal to make some, along with the show secretaries actually, to, make sure any bugs are out of there. And a lot of the show secretaries have been very helpful in this. Yep. That's pretty good news, isn't it?
That's very good news. That's the only thing in all of this transition, and just like you said, and I want to reiterate too, Peggy did a tremendous job getting everything transitioned over from the old system to the new and keeping the office functioning and prioritizing what PFHA needed. I mean, it was just amazing watching her work and the office work and everybody just being very diligent to take care of the business at hand of PFHA. So they've done a great job, and I'm not trying to rush it at all. I just know, and I don't hear any complaints about all of that, but the one question I keep getting asked is the pedigree and the bloodlines. So people will be very, very happy to know that's coming soon.
I agree. And this is a time for us, this association, to hit the reset button. And we can do a lot of things differently, still respond to our membership needs, and but go forward, go forward. We used to keep the points and the pedigree, on an Excel spreadsheet in the beginning. So technology helps, but we will get this done. Are there any other questions? Do you want me to just keep talking about things?
Well, I can say just in the world of positive things happening, I feel a lot of excitement in the Ocala region. I think people are looking forward to Tryon, to, you know, this show year. I think everybody is just it to your point. I think we're building a lot of momentum, a lot of positive momentum, and it feels good, quite honestly. It feels good for us to be moving forward in a positive way.
And a lot of our committee chairs, as I said in the beginning, our committee chairs really do drive this. And they have got their boots on the ground and they are getting things done. Megan Winlack chaired the amateur committee. We mentioned Peggy, all these committees, judges and stewards, you know, Andy and Alex working hard. The divisional judging that the judges and stewards committee brought forward in January, I think is going to be really exciting for the association to have different judges in each division, you know, in these 3 different judges for performance, 3 different judges for pleasure, and 3 different judges for Fino, and the other like specialty classes and Bea Forma and the equitation are, you know, mixed in there with those specialty classes. I mean, divisional judging, but it's something different, and I think it's something good for our identity, because PFHA's identity is its own identity. The association has always revered and recognized and wanted our culture to be front and center as far as the history of our breed, all of that. But PFHA has its own identity, and we're driven by, you know, the classes that we have, how we represent the horses to the outside public and things like that. So it's cool to see people going, you know, mock speed. Hi, Miriam.
Robin,
Yes.
this is Carolyn. Would you be able to let some of our members that are on this call know of some of the events or programs like the Rec Rider, et cetera, that are not show related? Can you go into some of those for the membership?
I will. One thing I do want to talk about first, Carolyn, because I hadn't mentioned this. In December, Amy and I were contacted. I was chair of the Marketing and Communications Committee, and I still am. Amy and I were contacted by All Access Public TV with Andy Garcia to ask us if we would want to do programming with them. We had no idea really what that was. We had very little information, and we had a meeting with them. We had a meeting with the marketing committee, and we kept moving forward on it. We met with the vice president, and long story short, we have an agreement with them, and the press release was just came out 2 days ago. The press release for All Access Public TV with Andy Garcia, which will feature the Paso Fino breed, is going to be the production is going to be done in Tryon at that show, not during the show, before the show. The film crew will come in, we'll have interviews and things like that. But the history of our breed will be that educational part of 5 to 7 minutes, which will include everything, the recreational aspect of our horse and the endurance of our horses, how important that is, why they're so good as trail horses, because they hold up, they're sturdy, they were made well. Paso Finos were made well, and this will be part of what's coming, which is going to be really exciting. I mean, beyond exciting for us. There's a 65 to 70 million viewership for that programming. And they're going to send us the feedback on how many people see the press release probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks. And I don't know if any of you, I sent it to the board and committee members, the press release, but it was remarkable how good that press release was that they wrote, how well they listened to us. So to the recreational part of this, they, you know, the Pasos for Pleasure program, the trail horse test program, the endurance program, all of these things are set up for the recreational typewriter. When I say typewriter, because some of them also show, but for the person who identifies more as a recreational rider, to participate in our organization. In the magazine, we just saw the top 10 Passos for Pleasure riders and their hours that they spend in the saddle with their horses. And they make a big difference in our organization, because even when we did the demographics maybe 30 years ago on a marketing membership survey that we did, 80% of our members then, and we had a lot more members then, 20 years ago, we had almost 10,000 members, but 80% of our members did not identify themselves as a show person. They identified themselves as a non-show person or recreational rider, you know, or whatever, however you want to identify them. But those are the foundation of that pyramid. And BJ can add to this because she was chair of the planning committee. And those people do sometimes grow into being show people. So without that foundation there, the recreational rider drives it up, you know, up into the pyramid. Not all of them end up showing, but they also come to the shows, or they used to. They used to come to the shows a lot. They were our fans. They wanted to have their pictures taken with Profeta or Cappuccino or whomever won the FINA. I mean, they were there. They were going to the vendors. They were they should be and still should be part of who we are. And somehow we've sort of broken it up into this portion and that portion, but it really shouldn't be like that. If you own a registered Pasofino, you have something of great value. Whether you trail ride, whether it sits in the field, and I have horses here whose owners don't ride anymore, but they're in the field, registered Pasofinos. So if you have a registered horse, you are part of the whole picture. And you should be a member if you have a registered Pasofino, even if you don't show. It doesn't matter. The value is in the registration. So, I mean, I hope that answers some of it, Carolyn. Or do you want more?
Thank you very much. I think the members need to always be aware of all of the recreational activities that are available to them.
I agree. They were established to support, to support that arm of the association. Everything has been, though, established, and I want people to understand that. Everything we did, though, was built around the registry. Every single thing we do has been built around the registry. And I want people, whether you're a rec rider or however you think of yourself, to know that your membership, if you have a registered horse, you have something of value that has cost us. We're even talking about the data in the computer committee report. You have something of great value that has taken years to establish. And I hope some of those people will come back, even if they don't show, even if they just have one registered Pasofino, and rejoin PFHA and be part of it again. Because we're all the same.
Robin, this is Lindsay.
Go ahead, take over.
Yeah, I just wanted everybody to be aware that, over the years, the Recreational Rider Committee has done a lot of work in trying to set up programs and get the information out there. And we've had a lot of assistance in most recent years, especially with the weekly e-news and the ladies in the office to get some of that out. If everybody here that has any questions at all, we have an extensive program for the recreational, and I mean extensive. If you go to the website and you bring up the recreational rider, and under that you'll see the recreational rider handbook. This is where I always recommend that people start, because every program in the recreational rider arena is in that handbook, as well as explanations, the how-tos, not-tos, the forms, everything, including chapter 7, which is the part of the rule book that covers the recreational rider activities. So if you want a good, succinct, well, maybe not succinct, it's really a pretty easy read, though. We tried to keep it to where, it wasn't too difficult. We also have a nice brochure that's out that it gives an even better outline of some of these programs. But I would recommend the Recreational Writer Handbook. We try to keep it updated. We have the old Passos for Pleasure, which was the base. That's where everything started for logging in your hours and go out on a little trail ride, go ride with your neighbors, your kids, the grandkids, whatever. You just mark down your hours on a log. And then there's 50 hours, 100 hours, 150, 200. It goes all the way up to 5,000 hours for awards. And then a write-up in the magazine every year. Go ahead. Is Lynn on? Did you have something? Okay. So the other thing is Ticket to Ride. This is where you can actually put down some of your non-show, non-competitive recreational rider activities, like if you go to a parade, if you go to a demonstration, if you go to an endurance ride, things like that, non-show. All of this is non-show activities. You can get name can be put in a hat at nationals every year, and a person's name gets drawn out, and then you get a nice award for that. We also have the distance programs, which is endurance, competitive trail, pleasure long distance trail. I'm not going to get into the specifics. You want to find out, read the handbook. But we compete with international riders in these venues. I have competed with riders that have ridden overseas, competed overseas in the Olympics, in the World Equestrian Games. So this is, we really are out there with the top level people in the distance disciplines. And we also have the Sport Horse program, which is where people like to do things like local shows, if they want to go to gymkhanas, if they want to go to like mounted orienteering. There's just, again, there's a whole list of things that qualify under the Sport Horse programs, and people can get points toward their, in both the distance and the Sport Horse, you can get points for all of your top Legion of Merit and Supreme Merit awards. So,
Thank you, Lindsay.
okay, I'll be
No,
quiet.
No, it's okay. I mean, I
Read
thought you were
the
done.
handbook.
You stopped, so I thought you were done.
Oh, no,
Sorry.
that's okay. No, read the handbook. Read, it's there in its entirety.
Hi,
If anybody
Robbie.
has any, go ahead.
Hello?
Hello.
Robin, hi. This is Fabio Laverde from Miami.
How are you?
Good, pretty good. Regarding the computer, the website that you guys are working on, or somebody's working on, is there anything that we can do so every time there is a show, we don't have to fill out so much paperwork? I mean, every time there is a show, we have to fill out the same form or forms. I think that now that we're working on that, maybe there is a connection between, every region and the national office to reduce the number of pages. Just,
Which forms, entry forms will always have to be, the entry forms will always have to be filled out.
okay.
The same,
There's
because
no,
every show is different and you have to fill out the entry form, for that show. And then there's releases on the entry forms and things like that. So they can't carry over. Hopefully the new software will eliminate or help people having to provide their registration certificates and their membership cards.
okay.
That's I think that's, more to where we're going. So we can verify you're a member, plus owners change. So that's another reason why we can't, you have to enter every time because owners change, nothing stays the same. And then as your class
Right, no.
advances in classes, it'll change from 61 to 84 months to 84 months, 85 months and over and things like that. But if we can get it to where the show secretaries don't have to, can just see your membership online, see, your horse's registration online and things like that. That will help immensely. But I do
Right,
think people
right.
should, yes, I'm glad you asked that. I do think people still need to be aware. And before we got all this technology, and it's a wonderful thing, it is really still our responsibility to have that information. Even if you carry a folder with you with your horse's papers, your membership cards, you still have to produce the Coggins, at every show. You still have to
No,
produce health
I am
certificate
aware
and
of. Yes.
shots and things. Yes. So, some of that stuff, especially if you have the same horses, that you're showing, keep it in a folder anyway. So, because sometimes you may
Okay.
be asked to verify it. Does
Okay,
that help?
thanks. Yeah, sure.
Good. Well, good. I'm glad. Thanks for being on the call.
Okay.
Robin, what is your opinion on horses showing up to shows with obvious wounds on their nose? Our rules are really clear about horses with blood and things like that. Our rules, and so the United States Equestrian Federation rules are very clear as well. So that is very detailed in our rule book and in the United States Equestrian Federation rule book. But it would be nice if somebody sees that in a stall, they can go get the steward at the show, and they can come back and check the horse. The stewards are there. They should be utilized in a way that doesn't draw them from from being at the gate and everything, or where they're supposed to be. But they are there for that reason. And so if someone has something that happens at a show that they feel is either a violation of the rule, a horse is in danger, or a person is in danger, go get the steward or the show manager, or both. Does that help, Denise? Yes, good. Yay. Any other questions? Any other things that we could talk about that would be beneficial? Because it looks like we're having good shows this year. The shows, I went down to Spectrum, Extravaganza. I didn't get to go to the show in Texas or Clemson or some of the other shows that happen around the country, but there's shows happening around the country. And I hope more people will be able to participate at the national show. The show in Tryon looks like it's going to be a pretty big show. A lot of people are looking
Robin,
forward.
I have another question.
Yes, sir.
When when you're showing a horse and it's almost, let's say there are 10 horses on the competition and the judges, they select 4 horses to be, first and fourth. And if one of those horses, after they have been selected, if one of those horses acts up, does something that is, he rears up or whatever, why is it that we need to keep him there? Why can the judges not get the next horse, place it on the fourth that they're judging and take that one out?
That's a
You
really
know-
good question. That's
you know what I mean?
that's actually a very, very good question. And I guess I am a senior certified judge and have judged.
Yes, I know.
You're right. Okay. So when you call horses out for work off, you are assuming that those 4 horses are basically tied. That's the mindset that you have.
Right.
They might not be
Right.
tied, but in your mind, that's how you have to start that work off. Okay. So let's say you're judging, I don't know, performance, and one horse at the Largo breaks in the corner. That would be something that would knock them down in placement in that work off. When you said if a horse rears, now again, our rules are very clear. If a horse does something that's dangerous, that we consider dangerous or dangerous to the rider or the riders, it should be excused and disqualified from the class. Once that happens, then you're not necessarily going to pull a horse out to work in fourth because you didn't have fifth, sixth, seventh, set up to where the next horse would come in, because how do you know which horse that would be? So you would just pin the class
Okay.
accordingly, but that horse would be gone. If that horse does something that dangerous, what you said, rear, kicks another horse or something like that, something that's dangerous to the horses in the ring or the riders, they should be disqualified. Now, that is left up to the discretion of the judge. Or let's say it goes lame in the work-off. Let's say you line it up, it wasn't lame, and now it's lame. Which you would hope that wouldn't happen, but if it did, it could still be disqualified. There are things that a horse should be disqualified for, and there are things that it should be penalized for. And that's where the distinction is between that. Not everything is something you would disqualify a horse for. You have to distinguish between what a penalty is. I don't know if Western Pleasure, your horse takes a wrong lead in the work-off, you would be penalized, not disqualified. But if your horse doesn't back in Western Pleasure, you're disqualified. And so, in Pheno, let's say the horse breaks in the figure eights, but let's say a horse breaks in the figure eight, stops, refuses, rears, backs up, and falls over, it's disqualified.
Okay.
Does that help?
So it's up to the discretion of the judge.
Well, I want to say, I don't want to make it sound like our judges are, it's very clear in the rule book. So when it's up to the discretion of the judge, I'm saying that within our rule book, that's where their discretion is going to come from. They've got to look at the rule book and say, okay, is that dangerous? And it defines what is dangerous in our rule book. And that helps the judges understand, where that would go. Let's say the horse spins, your horse spins, does a reverse and spins, but goes back to the rail. That would be a penalty from my perspective as a
Right.
judge, because nobody's in danger. That was a mistake. So you're going to be penalized.
Right.
But if your horse spins around 5 times in the middle of the ring and, kind of runs over the judge and knocks somebody over and the plant's in the middle of the board, then they should be disqualified.
Okay.
I'm
Thank you.
I think that you're welcome. And these are good questions. And I think they need to be asked because there is some confusion about that. And I understand it.
Now I have another question. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
And again, I want to be as candid and open as I can. I don't want to mention anything regarding any judge
There is
or
an
anything.
echo, so I don't know. There is an echo. I don't know if somebody has their phone on that's causing an echo.
So an echo? No.
There you go. Okay, good.
Okay. Now, when sometimes you have questions regarding the placing of a horse, can you go and talk to the judges? I mean, once you ask permission from the steward or whatever, or the manager of the show, is that something that you could be penalized, or can an exhibitor have the right to go and talk to the judges and see what happened? Maybe did they see anything that sometimes, one thing is the exhibitor or the owner looking at the horse, and we all want to win. And the other one is the eye of the judge. And that is, that is reality.
Correct.
But, sometimes you see things that you're really, really uncomfortable with. And is there anything that the owner can do to perhaps get an explanation or something that we can realize, okay, I see why the horse was, pinned the way it was pinned. I mean, it happened to me in one show. I'm not going to say anything when, how, whatever. It just happened to me. And I went and I was very courteous with the steward, and she was extremely nice with me. and I went and I talked to the judges, and basically the only thing that they told me was, that was our opinion. So I was a little like, oh, I mean, that was your opinion, but tell me what happened. I
Mhm.
mean, that our opinion. As a matter of fact, I got a little, uncomfortable with that answer. And I said to them, well, I respect your opinion, but I have mine, and I'm going to tell you what I think. And I talked to them about my opinion. But I think that there should be something where, you should be able to go and talk to someone, or a committee or somebody to make sure that, let's face it, sometimes you feel that the judges are not really judging maybe the right class, or they are in another planet, okay? And I hate to say that. And I don't want that to be something against me in the future. But I have to tell you how I feel, and it wasn't only me. There were other people talking about the same issue at that show. So I just want to make sure that someone is making sure that, the judges are really looking at the horses. I don't know if perhaps we need to have, and I know it's probably too costly to have, a person filming every class, and then we can go back and look at the horses, this, that, and the other. I don't really think we need to go that far. But there should be something where, someone will tell you, listen, Fabio, this is what happened, this, and this. You didn't see that. We
Yeah.
saw that. And then you say, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to go back and, I have the horse film. I'm going to check that out. And thank you very much. But when they tell you, well, it was our opinion, I think that has, there is a lot to say just besides that was our opinion.
Well, let me try to answer it, and then that way, other people can hear the answer as well. When you judge a show, when you judge any class, you're looking at all the horses in the class. Typically, when people are watching or when they're riding their own horse, they're focused obviously on their own horse, or when owners are watching, or I don't know, when my mom watched me ride over the years, she watched the whole class, but she watched me mostly. So a judge is looking at all the horses in the ring, and I mean, I've judged with a lot of our judges. They're very good judges. I think they're very diligent. And I hope this doesn't, I want to give you the answer you want, but like you, I've got to be very candid.
No.
It really isn't.
Yeah.
It really isn't, judging a show really isn't a clinic. I agree with you that it would be nice, especially with amateur riders, that come up, or youth riders come up with the steward and they want to ask a question, that you can maybe provide them some feedback on what they saw your horse do. Now, keep in mind, when you're judging a 15-horse class, some horse is going to do something over there on the other side of the ring. And when you're looking over here, you cannot look at all the horses at once.
I agree.
And
I agree.
a video isn't going to help that at all, because who's going to critique the video? The people that own the horse or other judges? I don't see as a video is going to make it, a difference. People already use videos, they post them on Facebook. But I just, if you have a good trainer, if you have a good coach, whatever, I don't know if you're doing the riding or whomever's doing the riding, but it would be up to them too, to provide you feedback and say, look, here's what happened. Your horse wasn't in gait. Your horse did this over here. He was opening his mouth. His tongue was, whatever, 1,000 things that can happen.
Right.
Make it where your horse doesn't do well. But our judges really aren't required to give a lot of information, and they have to be careful, because our rules are very clear that you can only provide general information. Because the minute somebody says something to somebody that comes up and ask a question that they don't like, the next thing they're going to say is, well, I really didn't want to hear that. And then you're in a whole nother can of worms. So our judges have
No,
to
I
be very,
know.
very careful, very, very careful, not to say something that could be considered, derogatory about a horse or a rider.
Sure. Well,
So that-
now can I say, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but one way for that to be probably not to happen again, maybe if they explain the class, that will be really. I mean, I'll tell you, when I know that sometimes judges explain the class, and every time they do, people learn. Okay, that is like an education for everybody there. I think that the classes should be explained precisely for that reason. I mean, if they explain the class and they say, okay, this, the first place horse got the blue ribbon because of this, that, and the other, the second place horse, whatever the explanation is. I think that it's good for, number one, for the people there, number two, for the owner, number three, for the rider. Maybe they need to do something so they can improve the horse according to whatever they're saying the situation is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think depends what, again, it goes back to, though, the judges still can't say anything that's derogatory or considered negative. In fact, we're going to address this at the next board meeting, a policy, a disclaimer before they explain classes, so people understand that this is just about this class on that day. I don't think we
Right.
would have time to explain. We would we would not have time to explain every single class, because we have almost 100, 135, 140 classes. So we would not have a chance to explain every class. Maybe some of the bigger classes and maybe some of the more competitive classes, there would be good to have an explanation. And there's people who have differences of opinion about when judges start explaining classes, because it doesn't always fit with what people saw in the class either. So there's some work we're going to do on that, to answer your question. Some work with
Okay.
the Education and Climate
Okay,
Committee.
that's perfect. That's
There you go. Well, thank you.
I think that what they were doing at one of the shows is they were not talking about all the horses. They were only talking about the first through probably fourth place. They were talking about those horses. The rest, they just line up and go back to the stall. But
Right, well-
something like that, people, to me, is really something good for everybody, because everybody is going to learn like that.
Well, yeah, we may see it differently. I don't think we can do all 6 places in every class.
No, that's not
Yeah.
what I want. I mean,
Yeah,
what
okay.
I want is maybe the first 3 or whatever. No.
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. Well, but like I said, we're addressing some of these issues because some of the explanations, like I said, they're a little too, anyway, that we'll address it at some of this at the next board meeting.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you, though.
very much.
You're welcome.
That's what I want. Okay.
Any
perfect.
other questions
Thanks.
about shows, judging, training, stewarding? Andy's on the call. Someone has to have a question. No.
Hey, Robin, Chuck Hauser here.
Hi, Chuck.
Have a question about the software that we're going to get. When will we have regional information so that as a region, we can go in and find out who our members are and data similar to what we had in the past?
Is
Is that on the schedule?
That's a
somewhere?
really good question. I'm gonna write it down, and Peggy's on the call. I'll write it down, so. Regional information. That's probably not on the front line, Chuck, I would guess, reading what Amy
Yeah.
wrote me. But I've learned more about this stuff than I ever wanted to. I guess somebody has to make a story for that, and then they can work on that.
Understood.
But that's a good question, and I wrote it down so I can get it to, I know Peggy's on the call, but I'll get it to Amy tomorrow too.
Okay,
Robin, this is Denise. I think you can currently, if you want your membership list, Chuck, for your region, you can currently request that and the office will send it to you.
right. I know we can do that, and that's what we have to do now.
Okay,
That's
you're
what the
talking about
problem
when
is.
it's automatically.
We just can't go out on our own and get it,
Right, understood. Okay.
so.
We've had this is Miriam, right? And we've had a question within our region about sharing membership information with someone who asks, and whether they're a member or not. And our region has always referred back to the PFHA rule that membership information, including contact information, particularly email and phone numbers, that sort of information is shared with secretaries and official officers of the region.
Mhm.
But I don't know if it's been shared with just a member that say wants to gather that information for promotion of something they are offering, either horses for sale or training, or for marketing purposes of any kind. And it would be I can see it as a service that the association can offer, but it's to avoid members who don't want their information shared. Maybe that could be added somehow to
That
the.
wasn't, yeah, okay, yes, I was only looking at, so that our president or membership person in our region could actually have access to the membership. Yeah, not for general members, but to authorized officers at the region level.
Yeah, typically, I mean, I know in the past, you've only been able to get, the members, from your own region, like Chuck is suggesting, and to what Miriam's saying, we really legally, I don't think we can let somebody just access all the membership information.
Oh, yes, I would agree.
Yeah, no, I know you will. I was just telling her, that's not where we're heading.
I understand that. It seems like in order to, for people who are actively promoting a farm or a breeding program, or, some activity, it would be handy if there was some way that they could have information, because that contact helps, help spread the word, rather than everyone have to dig it out for themselves somehow.
You can, now I do know this because this has been done in the past. Let's say you want to send out a Christmas card, to every member in PFHA. You can have the office mail those out. You pay for the mailing and for the membership labels, and we can do that. So it would have to go through the office.
Excellent. That's an excellent answer. That's very good.
And I didn't even make it up. It's the truth.
Yay. Good.
And I thought, I know, for instance, Bessie Lou, that's what they do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. That's a very informative answer that we can share with our members if they want to promote something, to put it together and approach the PFHA office.
Yes. And I mean, I think you're right on target, because we used to, send out mail outs to our members all the time. And I guess, with the advent of technology, social media and things like that, people relying more on that. But I still think, people like to get the Pasadena Horse World. They like to get things in the mail.
Yeah. And I think it would be, I think it's excellent idea for people to be able to share information that's not gonna, aggravate everyone for getting too much stuff in on their email or whatever, but.
Correct. Correct. I
Okay.
have a note, I wrote it down to make sure that's still a policy in the office. I think it is, but I'll get with Amy and make sure.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you,
You're
Rob.
welcome. You're welcome.
Robin, this is Lindsay again. I know you're probably wanting to wrap up, but I just had a question.
No. I want everyone to say what they want to say.
I just wanted you to go into more detail about this thing you said that it's going to be showcasing the Pasofino breed, and you're going to on
All access PTV with Andy Garcia.
right. Okay, so I was just curious as to exactly who was involved with that. I mean, from the rec writer standpoint, I never heard anything about it. This is the first I've heard about it. So I was just curious as to people involved and, more of
What
how that's come about. I guess I'm trying
there's
to.
that's a good question. There's only one shoot. In other words, in all of this, there's only one shoot. But what we have been doing, and what Amy has been doing, and the office has been doing, is collecting pictures of people either from regions, like Tina Bunce has sent in some very good pictures. Judy sent him some very good pictures of people trail riding out in the desert, up in the mountains out there. We've asked Nola Harper Kyle to send in pictures of her doing cowboy mounted shooting. So, and I think Tina did send trail pictures, not just trail pictures, but doing obstacles, trails, and things like that. So we've been collecting data for the pictures because they're only going to do one shoot, Lindsay, and it's going to be a try-on. And it just ended up that they needed to do it in June, and we're already going to be at that show. But we won't be filming the show. In other words, it's going to be done the day before the show. It just happens that we can use the arena there, we can use outside, we can film there, we can do the interviews there. And that's why we decided on try-on, because if not, we would have had to go, like to a private farm. But
Right.
we're still, collecting pictures. They have to be high quality. I've heard like 300 something pictures. The video has to be not professional, but it has to be high quality. And it can't be under copyright by somebody else. Neither can the pictures. They have to, you have to have a copyright release. So we've been working on it, to answer your question, to make sure everything is shown, every aspect of that is shown.
Okay, I was just curious as to where the pictures and the information was coming from.
Yeah, well, pounding it. Amy has been just, pounding people for pictures and things like that, because it's only a 5 to 7 minute segment. So pictures are gonna, video is gonna go, it's gonna go fast. And then the corporate segment is only 30 seconds, and that's about the association. And so there'll be a few clips of pictures in that. And we have to do, they need pictures of, these will be more coming from historical data, pictures, the history of the breed, the historical background of the breed will be part of it as well in the beginning.
Okay, so it's going to be kind of like as far as showing the different things that are available, it's going to be more like a photo montage type of.
No, I don't think it'll be a photo montage. Their productions are so good. I'd recommend anybody that wants to go to the All Access PTV with Andy Garcia website and look at some of their productions. They are very, very, very good. So it's however they set it up, it will be how they set it up. Now we have the review, we have the right to review. They're going to want us to review it and make sure we're good with the content, in the programming.
Okay.
The other part of this is, the great part of this is everything they do, everything they have, all the programming is ours to use for promotion forever.
Yeah.
Which is really important, because we don't have a lot of stuff on, on file.
Right.
So we'll be showing from Pheno to, to the horses in the mountains. That's the scope of all of this.
Okay. Well,
And like the region sent, some of the regions like Southwestern have sent their own promotional information video, and they'll use snippets of that, you know. So the other part of it is, and I'm glad I got a text from Ellen Perez. The other part of this is we have really been very forthright and reminding, even on the last call we had with the director, that the regions have to be, you know, identified, and they have, we're going to do this at the shoot. We're going to have the map, the regional map that Judy just did behind on a board when somebody's talking, so people can see where the regions are around the country. That's going to be one way we're going to do it. You know, really colorful, you know, blow it up, because people have to know where to go to see a horse. You know, if we
Yep.
do all this promotion and then that, you know, I told them, I said, there aren't any horses in the parking lot in Kentucky, you know, they've got to know where to go see a horse. And so we've been also pushing the regions to update their websites. So when people want to go to Mason-Dixon, Great Lakes, Southwestern, Florida, Ocala, wherever, Georgia, they know, you know, they know who to get in touch with.
Okay. I hope they cover all the recreational. I mean, they can't do every specific, but I hope they get, you know, with the fun stuff like passes for pleasure and the distance rides and stuff, because there's a lot, I get a lot of stuff about distance and.
I mean, it's not going to look like that, because we
Uh-huh.
only have 5 to 7 minutes. So it's not going to be, this is the distance horse, this is that. But and it's not them, it's us. And I have
Right.
been really specific with them. We've got to show every part, you know, every aspect somewhere, you know, somewhere in the montage. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Okay, that's cool. I just want,
It's going to be really cool.
all right. Are we going to be able to get, I won't be at I mean, this is going to be on this network? It's on the web, I guess. It'll be available, or through the PFHA when it's done, or?
When it's done and they roll it out, because the press release already came out, when they roll it out, it's going to go to all their, you know, all of their public TV access, to
Right.
all their whatever. I mean, that if you go to their website, you can see the list of list of
Okay,
what's the word I'm looking for? Stations that
stations.
it will go on.
Yeah, okay.
So you can see that there, and that's where it'll be, you know, plugged into whatever they do on those stations.
Okay. And then.
Hi, Robin. It's,
Okay,
oh,
okay.
sorry.
that's-
I thought
that's
you were
fine.
done. No.
I just wanted to make sure, but to reiterate, PFHA is going to be able to keep that, correct? And use it for its, when it.
It's
for its-
in the contract. That was one of the
Okay,
reasons
okay.
that's one of the reasons the other reason we wanted to do it was because it was like, wait a minute, this is money well spent. Somebody was going to ask
So
a question.
Robin, yeah, hi, it's Debbie Laverty. Good evening, everyone. So just a question about what you're speaking about right now. I may have missed it. How is the national office determining the horses that could get into that video or that presentation?
Mostly that the marketing committee, which I'm the chair of, and mostly I'm going to be helping with other people deciding what horses go in the video. And it's going to be to showcase each, like I said, each area of the breed. Now, the pictures that are coming in the video from the regions, you know, we have no part in that. I mean, when we have no part in that, you know what I'm saying? That will be pictures that we're just really pushing for people to send, and videos from the regions. But how we line up the shoot is going to depend on, you know, Amy and I will be there. Julia Swartz is going to be there. She's our social media marketing person. And we'll use the horses. There's going to be a lot of their horses there and try on, a lot of riders. We want to accentuate the fact that you can ride these horses, you know, some youth riders, and then people that'll be riding for pleasure and recreation in the video that are not, you know, youth riders anymore.
Right. Okay.
So it will
Thank you.
be,
Thank you for that.
it's going to promote the breed in its total package. And what we want to make sure is, do we capture, you know, that we can capture all that with good horses, with horses that represent, for instance, the huge difference between performance and pleasure, you know, the huge difference between pheno and the other classes, the huge difference between, you know, horse that maybe is not being shown, but they all have the same gait. That is the most, important thing that we want to make sure the message that comes out of this. They all have this remarkably smooth gait. And they're all registered Pasafinos. And this is,
That sounds very exciting.
huh?
Very exciting.
It
That sounds
is.
very exciting.
It's like,
for the
Amy
breed.
and I were like, man, this thing, when they called us in December, we were like, wait, what? It was just came at the right time, and we're excited too. I mean, I'm super excited. It's what we need, to get the breed back out in the forefront.
Yeah, definitely. What about gaited horses like Tritons and Chochas? Is that something being considered for that, or just the?
No, because they're not, registered Pasafinos. This is just for Pasafinos.
Perfect. Okay, thanks. I appreciate the update.
Absolutely. I'm glad you're asking these questions about this, because it's, it's coming. It's, they wanted us to have some sort of, all access PTV with Andy Garcia. It was like, you can have a rollout, and you can have like a, like a movie preview, and, and invite people. You can have a big dinner. And Amy and I are like, what, how are we going to do? It was funny, because they do it big. And we asked if Andy Garcia could be there to ride a Pasafino, but they did not jump on that one. Any other questions?
He's probably sad. He's probably sad he wasn't. He's probably sad he wasn't given that opportunity.
Yeah, they said he has handlers, and we were like, okay,
handlers.
yeah, it was
Okay.
funny. It was funny. But Sergio
Very
said it
good.
was his
Thank you
brother,
again.
so I said we're gonna show Sergio on a horse and say it's Andy Garcia's brother.
Uh-huh.
Any other questions about anything? I'm happy people are asking questions, and this information is getting out. It's really good. And I'm very appreciative so many people chose to be on this call tonight. There's, 31 people on here, which is great. So you can spread the word. I'm sure most of you have my email address and my phone number, and welcome to call or text me or email me if you have any questions. I know one thing I do want to say is the amateur committee is working on, Greg, do you have a question?
No,
I saw your name come up.
I'm just trying to figure out how to work my phone. No, no mind me.
I was excited there for a minute. I thought you were going to ask me a question. The amateur committee is working very hard, and I don't want to usurp their excitement, but they're working very hard on a program for the national show for amateur riders that is really going to be exciting. So get your points. That's all I'll say. Any other questions anybody has? Any information we can share? Are you sure? If not, I mean, if everyone, did I answer all the questions? Cindy said there's questions in the chat. Okay, I think I answered those. Okay. Any other questions? Anything anybody wants to bring up that we can help answer? If not, Judy, thank you very much.
Well, I want to thank you, Robin, and I also want to thank all the members that participated, showed up. I hope you have enjoyed it. I hope you feel that this has been beneficial, and hopefully we will host another one after our next board meeting.
But you are the first ones. So you can have t-shirts made, Judy. All right, then. Thank you, everyone.
Everyone.
Thank you. Have a good evening, y'all.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.